Welcome, my friends. I'm really happy you are here today. This vlog is not just about football. It is about dreams, discipline, pain, and never giving up, even when life feels unfair. This story is specially made for English learners. The words are simple, the sentences are clear, and the flow is easy to follow. You can listen calmly, understand naturally, and improve your English without stress. You don't need perfect English to understand powerful stories. Stories help language enter your mind softly, and this story will do exactly that. Today, I will tell you the life story of Cristiano Ronaldo in a friendly and human way, like one friend talking to another. Not as a superstar, but as a boy who came from nothing and believed in himself. This story is deeply motivational. It shows how hard work can be talent, how discipline can change destiny, and how pain can become strength. Cristiano Ronaldo's journey is not smooth or easy. It is full of struggle, sacrifice, loneliness, and courage. That is why it inspires millions of people around the world. So relax, listen carefully, and stay till the end. Let this story help you learn English, build confidence, and believe that your background does not decide your future. Now, let's begin this powerful journey together. The boy from a small island. Welcome, my friends. Today, I want to tell you a story, not just about football, but about life, struggle, dreams, and belief. This story is about a boy who started with almost nothing, but inside him was a fire that never stopped burning. If you are learning English, this story will help your heart and your language grow together. This story is easy to follow, simple to understand, and full of real emotions. You will hear about pain, hope, failure, and success. You will learn new words, but also new ways to think about your own life. This is not just the story of a famous player. This is the story of a human being who refused to give up. When you listen to this story or read it slowly, you can practice your English and also practice your courage. You will see how small steps can lead to big dreams. You will learn that your background does not decide your future. Your actions, your discipline, and your belief decide your future. So take a deep breath, relax your mind, and imagine you are sitting with me, listening to a story by a warm fire. This is the story of Cristiano Ronaldo, from a small island to the biggest stadiums in the world. Cristiano Ronaldo was born on a small island called Madeira, in Portugal. Madeira is beautiful, with blue ocean and green hills, but life there was not easy for many families. His family was poor, and money was always a problem. His father worked as a cleaner at a football club, and his mother worked many small jobs to support the family. Their house was small, and Cristiano shared a room with his brothers and sister. There was not much space, and there were many worries in the house. Sometimes there was not enough money for good food or new clothes. But there was something very strong in Cristiano's heart, even when he was very young. From the time he could walk, Cristiano loved to run. From the time he could kick, he loved to kick a ball. The streets of Madeira became his first football field. The walls became his goalposts. The stones became his markers. He played for hours, even when his shoes were old and broken. Many children played football for fun, but Cristiano played with fire in his eyes. He wanted to win every small game. If he lost, he would feel angry with himself. He would cry sometimes, not because he was weak, but because he wanted to be better. Even as a small boy, he hated losing. His mother often worried about him because he did not listen when she told him to come home. She would call his name again and again from the window. Cristiano would shout back, "Just 5 more minutes." But 5 minutes would become 1 hour, and 1 hour would become the whole evening. Football was not just a game for him, it was his escape. When life felt hard at home, the ball felt kind to him. When money was not enough, football gave him something rich inside. When people laughed at his poor clothes, football made him feel proud of who he was becoming. At school, Cristiano was not a calm student. He had too much energy inside him. He wanted to move, to run, to play. Sitting still was hard for him. Sometimes teachers did not understand him. Some teachers thought he was a bad student. But the truth was, his mind was already running on a football field. One day, something happened that changed his life forever. A local football coach saw him play. The coach noticed how fast Cristiano was, how strong his kicks were, and how hungry he looked to improve. The coach spoke to Cristiano's family and said, "This boy has something special." Cristiano joined a small local club called Endorinho, where his father worked. It was not a big club, and the field was simple. But for Cristiano, it was like a big world opening its doors. He trained every day with children older than him. He was smaller, but he was faster. The older boys were sometimes rough with him. They pushed him, they laughed at his small body, and they said he was too thin to be strong. Cristiano did not fight with words. He fought with his feet. He ran faster, kicked harder, and trained longer than everyone else. Every time someone doubted him, his fire grew bigger. He did not think, "Maybe they are right." He thought, "I will show them they are wrong." He took every bad word and turned it into energy. This was the beginning of his strong mindset, even before he knew that word. Soon, people in Madeira started to talk about a small boy who played like a storm. They said he moved like the wind and shot the ball like thunder. Some people came just to watch him play. For a poor family, this attention felt strange, but also hopeful. When Cristiano was about 12 years old, something very hard happened. He was given a chance to go to Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, to join a big football academy called Sporting Lisbon. This was a dream for many children, but it also meant leaving his family and his island. The idea of leaving home was scary. Madeira was everything he knew. His mother cried when she thought about him leaving so young. His brothers and sister would miss him. His father was proud but also worried. Lisbon was far away, and the world there was big and unknown. Cristiano was afraid too, but his dream was stronger than his fear. He wanted to become a football player more than anything else in the world. He promised his mother that he would work hard and make the family proud. With a small bag and a big heart, he left his island. Life in Lisbon was not easy. The academy was strict, and the training was hard. The other boys came from different parts of Portugal, and some of them were richer and more confident. Cristiano's accent was different, and some boys laughed at the way he spoke. Sometimes, when he tried to speak in class, other children made fun of him. They laughed at his island accent and his simple words. Cristiano felt hurt inside. He felt small in a big city. Many nights, he cried alone in his bed, missing his mother and his home. But every morning, he woke up early and trained again. He told himself that pain was part of the journey. He told himself that if he wanted to change his life, he had to accept hard days. He ran faster, he practiced longer, he stayed on the field even when others left. There were days when he felt like giving up. There were days when he thought, "Maybe I am not good enough." But then he remembered his family in Madeira. He remembered the small house, the old shoes, the hungry nights. He remembered why he started. Cristiano made a promise to himself. He said, "I will not go back home without success." He said this not because he did not love his home, but because he wanted to return as someone who had changed the story of his family. This promise became his secret power. At the academy, coaches saw his talent, but they also saw his attitude. He was never happy with being just good. If he scored 2 goals, he wanted 3. If he trained well, he wanted to train better. He watched older players and copied their movements. He practiced alone after team training. He worked on his weak foot. He practiced free kicks again and again. Sometimes, the sun went down, and he was still kicking the ball. The guards of the field had to tell him to go inside and rest. Cristiano's body was changing. He was growing taller and stronger. But more important, his mind was becoming stronger. He learned how to use pain as fuel. He learned how to use doubt as power. Every small victory built his confidence. Then one day, during a match, he played so well that people from outside the academy noticed him. Big teams started to hear his name. Coaches whispered about a young boy with speed, skill, and hunger. Cristiano did not know it yet, but his life was about to change again. This was only the beginning of his journey. The small boy from Madeira had taken his first big steps into the world. He was still far from the big stadiums and the loud crowds. But inside him, the dream was alive and growing stronger every single day. And this is where part one of his story pauses, not because the journey is slow, but because the next chapter becomes even more intense. The boy is about to face bigger challenges, bigger fears, and bigger opportunities. His name will soon be heard far beyond the small island of Madeira. The world starts to notice him. Life at the academy in Lisbon slowly changed Cristiano from a shy island boy into a strong young man. Every day, he woke up before the sun, and every night, he went to bed with tired legs and a restless mind. He was learning that dreams do not grow in comfort, they grow in struggle. At first, he felt invisible among the many talented boys around him. Some were taller, some were stronger, and some came from families who understood football better. Cristiano felt like he had to prove himself again and again. He did not want to be just another boy in training clothes. When training started, he ran like his life depended on it. He chased every ball, even the ones that looked impossible to reach. Coaches began to notice that he never gave up on a play. When others stopped, he kept going. This made him different, even when he was not the best yet. There were days when he failed badly. He missed easy shots. He fell while running. He lost the ball when it mattered most. After those days, he felt angry with himself. He did not shout at others. He looked in the mirror and blamed himself. Then he went back to the field. Cristiano learned to train his body, but also his mind. He started to think about how to move faster, how to jump higher, and how to control the ball better. He watched older players and studied their habits. He learned that success is not magic. It is built from small habits done every day. Sometimes, the loneliness returned at night. He missed his mother's voice. He missed the simple streets of Madeira. In Lisbon, the city was loud, and the buildings were tall. He felt small in the big city, but he reminded himself that small things can grow into big things. One evening, after a hard training session, he sat alone in his room. His legs hurt, and his heart felt heavy. He thought about going back home. He imagined the warm kitchen, the smell of simple food, and his mother's smile. For a moment, quitting felt easy. But then he imagined his future self. He imagined standing in a big stadium, wearing a famous team's shirt. He imagined his family watching him on television, smiling with pride. This picture was stronger than his pain. He stood up, wiped his tears, and promised himself to continue. Slowly, his name began to appear in small conversations among coaches. They said he was fast. They said he had special skills. They said he was not afraid of the ball. Cristiano did not hear these words directly, but he felt something changing. People started to look at him differently. During matches, he played with more confidence. He tried new moves. He took risks. Sometimes he failed, and sometimes he amazed people. The crowd at small games began to cheer when he touched the ball. This sound of cheering felt strange, but also warm in his heart. As he grew older, his body became stronger. He worked on his muscles, his balance, and his speed. He did extra training when others rested. Some teammates thought he was too serious. They laughed and said, "Why do you train so much?" Cristiano only smiled and kept training. He believed that talent without work is nothing. He believed that discipline can beat talent when talent is lazy. These thoughts were not written on any wall, but they lived inside him. They guided his choices every day, even when no one was watching. One day, Sporting Lisbon played a friendly match against a famous English club called Manchester United. This match was special because many important people were watching. Coaches, managers, and scouts sat in the stands. Cristiano felt nervous, but also excited. When he stepped onto the field, his heart was beating fast. The players from Manchester United were strong and confident. They looked like giants to him. But when the ball started moving, Cristiano forgot his fear. His feet remembered what to do. He ran past defenders. He changed direction quickly. He made moves that surprised even himself. The crowd began to react. The English players started to struggle to stop him. Every time he touched the ball, something exciting happened. After the match, people from Manchester United talked about him. They said, "Who is that boy?" They said he was dangerous with the ball. They said he had something special. Cristiano did not hear all these words, but the feeling in the air was different. Something important was happening. Not long after that match, Cristiano was told that Manchester United wanted him. This news felt unreal. He was still a teenager, far from home, and suddenly one of the biggest clubs in the world wanted him. His hands shook when he heard this. His heart felt like it would jump out of his chest. The decision was not easy. Moving to another country meant more distance from his family. It meant new language, new culture, and new pressure. But he remembered the promise he made to himself. He remembered that he wanted to change his family's life. He said yes. When he arrived in England, everything felt different. The weather was cold and gray. The people spoke English, a language he did not fully understand yet. The training was harder and faster. The players were strong and experienced. Cristiano felt like a small fish in a big ocean again. At first, he struggled to communicate. He used simple words and many hand signs. Sometimes he felt embarrassed when he could not understand jokes. But he did not let this stop him. He listened carefully. He learned new words every day. He practiced English like he practiced football. On the field, he showed his skills, but life was not easy. Some players thought he showed too many tricks. Some fans did not understand his style. They wanted goals, not only beautiful moves. Cristiano felt this pressure, and sometimes it hurt him deeply. He wanted to make people happy, but he also wanted to be himself. He learned that being different can be both a gift and a problem. Slowly, he started to balance his style. He kept his creativity, but he also learned to play for the team. The coach believed in him. The coach saw his hunger to improve. He spoke to Cristiano about discipline, teamwork, and responsibility. Cristiano listened carefully. He respected the coach and trusted his guidance. This relationship helped him grow not only as a player, but as a person. There were games when he played badly. The crowd sometimes booed him. Hearing negative sounds from fans was painful. After those matches, he went home with heavy steps. But instead of giving up, he trained harder the next day. He wanted to turn hate into respect. Slowly, goals began to come. His passes became smarter. His movements became sharper. Fans started to see his effort. They began to cheer again. Cristiano felt the love and the hate of football, and he learned to stand strong in both. As his name became more famous, pressure grew. Newspapers wrote about him. People talked about him on television. Some praised him, and some criticized him. Cristiano learned that fame is loud. He learned that success brings noise, both good and bad. Even with fame, he did not forget his family. He called his mother often. He sent money home. He remembered the small house in Madeira. This memory kept him humble and hungry at the same time. He did not want to return home as a failure. In the training ground, he stayed late. He practiced free kicks again and again. He practiced jumping, timing, and shooting. Sometimes his legs were shaking from tiredness. But when he thought about his dream, his body found more strength. Teammates began to respect him. They saw that he was not only talented, but also hardworking. They saw that he cared about improving. Slowly, he became an important part of the team. His confidence grew, but his hunger did not fade. There was a moment when he stood alone in a big stadium, looking at the empty seats after a match. The lights were still on, and the field was quiet. He remembered the small streets of Madeira. He smiled softly, knowing how far he had come. But he also knew this was not the end. This was only another beginning. Bigger challenges were waiting. Bigger dreams were calling him. The boy from the island was becoming a man on the world stage, and the world was starting to learn his name. His journey was no longer silent. The world had started to watch him. And when the world watches you, every step becomes heavier, every mistake becomes louder, and every victory becomes sweeter. Cristiano was ready to walk this heavy road. This is where part 2 pauses, with the young man standing between fear and fame, between doubt and belief. His path is rising, but the mountain ahead is still high. In the next part, his story will face even greater storms, deeper pain, and stronger victories. Pain, pressure, and becoming stronger. By the time Cristiano became known in England, life was moving very fast around him. The stadiums were bigger, the fans were louder, and the pressure was heavier. He was no longer just a young boy with dreams. He was becoming a public figure, and every step he took was watched. People expected magic from him in every match. When he played well, they praised him like a hero. When he made mistakes, they criticized him like he had failed the world. This change was hard for his heart. He had to learn how to stand strong in both love and hate. In the beginning, he tried to please everyone. He tried to make every fan happy, every coach proud, and every teammate satisfied. This made him tired inside. He realized that you cannot control what people think about you. You can only control your effort and your honesty. There were matches when the crowd was kind, and there were matches when the crowd was cruel. When people booed him, the sound stayed in his head even after the match ended. He would sit alone, replaying every mistake in his mind. His silence was heavy with self-doubt. Instead of running away from this feeling, he decided to face it. He started to train his mind like he trained his body. He told himself that noise from the outside should not control the voice inside. He learned to speak kindly to himself, even after bad days. Cristiano's training became more serious. He watched videos of his own matches. He looked at his mistakes again and again. He did not hide from his weaknesses. He studied them like a student studies a difficult lesson. This honesty with himself helped him grow faster. At the training ground, he stayed longer than most players. He practiced shooting with both feet. He practiced heading the ball, jumping again and again until his legs felt heavy. He practiced control, balance, and speed. He believed that hard work would protect him from fear. There were days when his body asked for rest, but his mind asked for one more try. He learned to listen to both, finding balance between pushing himself and protecting his health. This balance was new to him. He had always believed that more work was the only answer. In one season, he faced a serious injury. His body suddenly said no, even though his heart said yes. Being injured felt like being locked inside his own body. He could not play. He could not run freely. He had to watch others play while he waited. This waiting was painful. He felt useless when he could not help his team on the field. He worried that people would forget him. He worried that others would take his place. These fears sat quietly in his heart, making his nights restless. But injury taught him patience. It taught him to respect his body. It taught him that rest is not weakness. While recovering, he trained in different ways. He worked on his flexibility, his balance, and his mental strength. He imagined himself returning stronger. When he finally returned to the field, he felt nervous. His body remembered the movements, but his mind was careful. He was afraid of getting hurt again. Slowly, he trusted himself more. Each step on the grass felt like a promise kept to his own heart. As time passed, Cristiano's goals became more frequent. His passes became more mature. He started to understand the game better. He was no longer only about speed and tricks. He was learning timing, patience, and teamwork. His game was growing deeper. With success came more attention. The newspapers wrote about his life. People talked about his clothes, his style, and his personality. Some admired him, some judged him. He learned that fame does not only talk about your work, it talks about your whole life. This attention sometimes made him feel lonely. Many people knew his name, but few knew his true feelings. He missed simple days when he was just a boy on the street with a ball. In the middle of bright lights, he sometimes felt very alone. When loneliness became heavy, he called his mother. Her voice was calm and warm. She reminded him who he was before the fame. She reminded him that his worth did not come from goals or trophies. It came from his heart and his effort. Cristiano held on to this truth. He tried to stay humble, even when praise was loud. He tried to stay hungry, even when success was sweet. He knew that comfort can make people lazy. He did not want to become lazy with his dream. There were matches when everything went wrong. The team lost, He missed chances. The crowd was angry. After such nights, he felt small again, like the boy in Lisbon who could not speak English well. Old fears returned for a moment, but now, he had tools to face these fears. He breathed slowly. He reminded himself of how far he had come. He remembered Madeira, the small house, the long walks to training. He remembered that this journey was built on pain and patience. Slowly, he became a leader on the field, not only with his goals, but with his attitude. He encouraged teammates. He demanded more from himself. He showed young players that effort is visible, even when talent is quiet. His confidence was growing, but it was no longer loud. It was calm and steady. He no longer needed to prove himself to everyone. He only needed to prove himself to the boy he used to be. That boy who promised not to return home without success. In big matches, when the pressure was heavy, he learned to breathe into the moment. He learned to slow his heart. He learned to trust the work he had done. The fear did not disappear, but it stopped controlling him. One night, after a very important match, he stayed alone on the field again. The crowd had gone. The lights were soft. He stood quietly, feeling the grass under his feet. He felt thankful, but also aware that this road would never be easy. He knew that the higher you climb, the stronger the wind becomes. But he was no longer afraid of the wind. He had learned how to stand in it. The boy from Madeira had become a man who could face storms without losing his direction. This part of his journey was about becoming strong inside, not just outside. It was about learning that success does not remove pain. It teaches you how to walk with pain and still move forward. Cristiano was learning this lesson step by step. And this is where part 3 rests, with a man standing stronger in his heart, ready to face even bigger challenges. The road ahead will bring greater glory, deeper loss, and choices that will shape his legacy. His story is far from over, and the next chapter will test everything he has become. The peak, the fall, and the choice to rise. As Cristiano's name grew bigger, his world became louder. Every match felt like a test of his worth. Every goal felt like proof that he belonged among the best. The boy from the island was now a star in bright stadiums, but the light was heavy on his eyes. With success came new expectations. Fans wanted miracles. Media wanted stories. Coaches wanted results. Cristiano wanted perfection from himself. This desire to be perfect was both his strength and his weakness. It pushed him forward, but it also tired his heart. There were seasons when everything seemed to work for him. The ball listened to his feet. The goals came naturally. The crowd sang his name. In those moments, he felt like all the lonely nights had finally found meaning. He felt that his promise to his younger self was slowly being kept. But success is never a straight road. After high moments, there are often deep drops. In one important season, things started to feel heavy again. The team struggled. Some matches were lost in painful ways. People began to question him, even when he tried his best. Criticism returned, louder than before. The same voices that praised him now asked if he was still good enough. This change hurt more than the first time, because now he knew what it felt like to be loved by millions. Losing that feeling was painful. Cristiano learned that fame is not loyal. It follows success and leaves during failure. This truth was hard, but it made him stronger inside. He began to separate his self-worth from public opinion. He learned that applause is temporary, but character must be permanent. There were nights when he lay awake, listening to the city outside his window. The noise of cars and people felt far away. His thoughts were loud. He asked himself if all this pressure was worth it. He asked himself if he was losing the joy of the game. In those quiet moments, he remembered why he started. He remembered the boy kicking a ball against a wall in Madeira. That boy did not care about fame or money. That boy only cared about the joy of playing. Cristiano decided to search for that joy again. He began to smile more in training. He began to enjoy small moments with teammates. He reminded himself that football was still a game, even at the highest level. This change did not make pressure disappear, but it made it lighter to carry. Then came a big choice in his life. He felt that he needed a new challenge, a new mountain to climb. Staying where he was felt safe, but safety was not what built his journey. He had always grown when he stepped into the unknown. Making the decision to leave was not easy. He had built memories, friendships, and a name. But inside him, there was a voice calling for growth. That voice had guided him from Madeira to Lisbon, and from Lisbon to England. Now it was calling again. When he moved to a new country and a new club, everything changed once more. New language, new culture, new teammates, and new expectations waited for him. People watched closely, ready to judge if he could succeed again in a different world. At first, the new environment felt cold. The fans were proud and demanding. The history of the club was heavy with legends. Cristiano felt the weight of this history on his shoulders. He was not just playing for himself, he was playing for a tradition. The first matches were difficult. He tried to adapt to new tactics, new teammates, and new rhythms. Sometimes, he felt out of place. The ball did not always move the way he expected. The game felt faster in his mind than on the field. Some people said he was too old to start again. Some said his best days were behind him. These words reached his ears, even when he tried to ignore them. Old doubts knocked on the door of his heart, but this time, he did not panic. He had faced doubt many times before. He had learned that doubt is like a shadow. It grows when you run from it. It becomes smaller when you walk toward the light. He chose to walk forward. He returned to his habits, early mornings, extra training, careful attention to his body, strong focus on recovery and rest. He knew that at this stage of life, working smart was as important as working hard. Slowly, his body answered his effort. His movements became smoother. His timing became sharper. Goals started to come again. Each goal felt like a small victory over time itself. He was proving that growth does not end with age. As he scored important goals in big matches, the crowd began to believe in him. The noise of doubt changed into the sound of hope. Fans who once questioned him now stood up and cheered his name. This change was not sudden, it was earned. Cristiano felt a quiet pride in this, not the loud pride of showing off, but the calm pride of knowing he had not given up on himself. He knew that starting again in a new place was harder than staying comfortable in an old one. But life is never only about victory. In the middle of his success, pain found him again. A personal loss came into his life, and this pain was not something he could train away. It was deep, quiet, and heavy. During this time, he learned that strength is not only about standing tall. Sometimes, strength is about allowing yourself to feel weak. He allowed himself to feel sadness. He allowed himself to miss what he had lost. This honesty with his emotions made him more human. Even in pain, he continued to play. Some matches were harder than others. Some days, his heart was heavy, but his feet still moved. He learned to carry sorrow and still move forward. This did not make him cold, it made him deeper. Fans saw his effort and respected his courage. They saw that behind the famous name was a human being who felt loss and pain like everyone else. This connection between him and the people grew stronger. His story became not only about goals, but about resilience. As seasons passed, his legacy grew. Young players watched him train. They watched his discipline. They copied his habits. He became a model for effort, not just talent. His presence in the team became more than just goals. It became leadership by example. He spoke less with words and more with actions. He arrived early. He left late. He respected the work. Young players felt this energy and tried to follow it. In this way, his journey began to shape not only his own life, but the lives of others. There were moments when he stood in front of thousands of fans, hearing his name echo in the stadium. In those moments, he felt thankful, but also humble. He knew how easily this sound could disappear if he stopped working. He reminded himself that every day is a new beginning. Yesterday's goals do not score today's matches. Yesterday's praise does not protect today's effort. This mindset kept him grounded and moving forward. One evening, after a difficult match, he stayed alone in the locker room. The noise of celebration was far away. He sat quietly, breathing slowly, feeling both tired and grateful. He thought about the many versions of himself he had been. He thought about the crying boy in Madeira. He thought about the lonely teenager in Lisbon. He thought about the young man in England, facing noise and pressure. He smiled softly, seeing how all those versions had shaped the man he was now. He realized that his life was not a straight story of success. It was a story of falling, standing up, and choosing to walk again. This choice to rise after every fall was the true victory of his journey, legacy, meaning, and the journey that never ends. As Cristiano moved deeper into his career, the world began to speak about his legacy. People talked about numbers, records, and trophies. They counted goals and awards. They compared him with other great players. But inside him, the meaning of success had started to change. When he was young, success meant escaping poverty. It meant helping his family. It meant proving people wrong. Now, success meant something deeper. It meant staying true to himself through every change. It meant respecting the journey, not only the result. He began to understand that records can be broken, and trophies can be replaced. But the way you live your journey stays in people's hearts longer. The discipline, the courage, and the example you set become your real legacy. Young players came to him with wide eyes and hopeful hearts. They asked for advice. They wanted to know his secret. He did not give them magic words. He told them simple truths about hard work, patience, and belief. He told them that dreams need daily care. He said that talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. He said that motivation comes and goes, but habits stay. He said that you must show up even when you do not feel like it. These words came from his own long road of effort. There were days when his body felt slower than before. He accepted this with honesty. He did not fight time with anger. He worked with time using wisdom. He listened to his body more carefully. He respected rest as much as effort. This respect for balance helped him continue at a high level. He knew that chasing youth would only bring frustration. Accepting change brought peace. This peace allowed him to enjoy the game in a new way, with more awareness and gratitude. In quiet moments, he looked back at his life. He saw the small island, the narrow streets, and the boy who ran barefoot with a ball. He saw the long journey across cities and countries. He saw the many versions of himself growing into one story. He realized that the most powerful thing he had built was not a record. It was resilience, the ability to stand up again after falling. The courage to start again in new places, the strength to face doubt without losing direction. Sometimes, people asked him if he was afraid of the day he would stop playing. This question stayed with him. Football had been his life for so long. The idea of stopping felt like losing a part of himself. But then he understood something important. Football was what he did, not who he was. His identity was built from his values, not only his job. This thought brought him calm. He knew that life would continue to have meaning beyond the field. He started to focus more on giving back. He supported young players. He helped children who came from poor backgrounds like his own. He remembered how much a small chance can change a whole life. When he saw young boys and girls play with shining eyes, he saw his younger self. This reflection filled his heart with warmth. He understood that his story could be a bridge for others to believe in their own path. In interviews, he spoke about discipline and family. He spoke about respect for his roots. He spoke about how failure shaped him more than success. These words were not just for cameras. They were reminders to himself as well. There were still matches to play, goals to score, and challenges to face. But his heart was lighter now. He was no longer running only toward a future dream. He was also standing fully in the present moment. One evening, after a match, he walked slowly off the field. The crowd was loud, but he listened to his own breath. He felt tired, but peaceful. He touched the grass with his hand, quietly thanking the game that had shaped his life. In that moment, he felt connected to every version of himself. The boy from Madeira, the lonely student in Lisbon, the young star in England, the traveler across new lands. They were all still inside him, walking together. He knew that one day, the stadium lights would turn off for him, but the lessons would stay on. The discipline, the courage, and the belief would continue to guide his life in new ways. This understanding brought him quiet strength. His story teaches us that greatness is not born in comfort. It is shaped by struggle. It grows with patience. It becomes strong through consistency, and it becomes meaningful when shared with others. For you who are listening or reading, this story is not only about Cristiano Ronaldo. It is about your own journey. You may feel small now. You may feel unseen. You may feel far from your dreams, but small steps taken every day can carry you far. You do not need to be perfect to begin. You only need to begin. You do not need to see the whole road. You only need to take the next step. Your background does not limit your future. Your actions build your future. If you ever feel tired, remember the boy who kicked a ball against a wall and refused to stop dreaming. If you ever feel alone, remember that every strong person has walked through lonely roads. If you ever feel afraid, remember that courage grows when you move forward anyway. This story ends here, but your story continues. Take what you have learned from this journey. Carry the belief that growth is possible. Carry the patience to walk slowly when the road is long. Carry the courage to rise again after every fall. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking through this story. May your own journey be filled with effort, meaning, and hope. Every story is a small step forward. If you want to take this journey with me, subscribe and stay connected. Your support helps this channel grow, and your growth inspires me too.